Welcome back, you guys. I hope you enjoyed your read of the Montezuma's Revenge. Quite an interesting read.
Yeah, right.
So Montezuma, known as Montezuma Xocoyitzin, he was a powerful Aztec. He was an emperor in the Aztec regime, and unfortunately, it all came crashing in the 16th century when the Spaniards came and they took over. Montezuma ended up dying, powerless, looking weak to all his people. And the Spanish destroyed the Aztec people with their diseases and, with their war that they brought. They conquered Spanish people doing what they do, right? It was a very terrible time for the Aztec people, and even 500 years later, Montezuma's ghost still reigns in Mexico, and it's known as Montezuma's Revenge. What is this? So there's a Canadian journalist who had to find out this the hard way when she had a trip to Mexico, and she enjoyed all the delicious Mexican food. And then she started having some symptoms, some rumblies in the tummies. And she was suffering from Montezuma's Revenge, which is, any foreigners who come into the country, Montezuma wants to let them know, hey, not again.
I remember.
Yeah, he remembers, and he's going to let you know that he doesn't want you coming back to his domain. Some of the symptoms, grumbly bellies, you feel that you need to go to the bathroom a lot, and it's diarrhea. It's also known as the Delhi belly if you visit India. So when this journalist was going back home, she started feeling all these symptoms, running back and forth to the bathroom. On the airplane itself, she kept making these frequent trips that the stewardess on the airplane, they were getting concerned. Why does she keep going? She keeps standing up, going back and forth, that they had to confront her and ask her, hey, what's going on? When she had to be forthcoming with, let them know the truth. And she told them about all her symptoms. And when they found out there was a bacterial infection, they decided to take steps against that, and they removed her from the airplane.
I had no idea you could do that.
All right.
Just from having an upset stomach.
Yeah, so when they removed her, she was, of course, upset. She wants to get back home. She's also, she's not in the best condition. So she started having an altercation, and she got quite confrontational with the staff at the airport. And so things just kept getting worse and worse. Montezuma living up to his, name. He doesn't like foreigners in his country. He's going to let you know about it.
Causing chaos.
All the chaos. It was getting worse and worse. And so basically, that's Montezuma's Revenge. It's been reigning over years and years. People might have thought that he died very powerless, but over the years, he continues to wreak havoc.
Right.
His ghost will appear in places you don't want him to be.
I'm slightly less inclined to take a visit to Mexico now. I don't want to incur his revenge.
All right. It was a good ending for this journalist, though, because she was a writer for the Toronto Star. And when she wrote about this this fiasco that happened, that was her biggest piece. So good for her. There's a little...
It's a good anecdote.
Yeah. One little glimmer of light in all this chaos that happened. Speaking of, the Spanish and Montezuma, what did you learn in school about the European conquest of the North and South America, if any?
Actually, I didn't study the conquest. I studied the Aztecs, but never their downfall. So I remembered a lot about kind of like their architecture, their practices, and their religious style, but never the end of their
demise.
Maybe I think the UK especially likes to keep out some parts of its history.
Oh, right.
to hide some parts. And I think maybe their influence on that situation, they were just like, you can figure that one out on your own. It's okay. But I have actually heard of Montezuma before, but mainly from pop culture.
Okay. No.
I remember there used to be a phone game called Zuma.
Oh, Zuma.
Zuma.
The little frog.
Yeah, with the little frog where you shoot the colored balls. And so later I realized Montezuma. That's where that name came from. And then also I remember in Pirates of the Caribbean, Jack Sparrow is hunting for the Aztec gold. And I think they mentioned Montezuma's revenge, Montezuma's curse when they opened the chest.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, right. His revenge is widespread, I think.
Yeah, so like from, in Mexican literature, we learn a lot about Montezuma. And to this day, there's a lot of debate, like if he was actually powerful or was he weak, depending on how you see it because of the downfall. He put up a great fight against the Spaniards, but he was no match against, all the diseases that the people were not, immune to.
Had no immunity.
So that's what I know.
Fair enough.
Do you think that the flight crew did the right thing to kick the journalists off the flight?
I mean, as I mentioned when you were explaining, I didn't realize that you could do that, especially for a bacterial infection, because I feel like I've definitely been on a plane with someone, especially coming back from, say, Thailand or somewhere, where they have a bit of an upset stomach, and so I cannot imagine kicking someone off a flight for that. I think that maybe the flight crew did the right thing, but not in the right way. Okay. So I can understand why they did it to keep the people safe, like themselves and the passengers, especially because maybe it's something quite serious. Right. It isn't just like a small stomach infection, that kind of thing. But I think that the way they treated her was very unfair. And I think yelling at anyone to get them to do something is never the best, especially because she was feeling really ill
in the
anyway.
State that she was in. Right. Can't imagine.
Right. And she was on vacation too, so it's not like she had a support system in Mexico or a place to go. So, yeah, I feel really bad for her.
I agree. I can't imagine having that situation, being in that state, and then having to deal with all of that. Maybe if they had just quarantined her in the flight itself, you give her a first class area,
her own bathroom.
Yeah, seal one off and say this has the Montezuma ghost in it. Do not enter.
This one's for his revenge, Joanna's revenge.
Well, you guys, we hope you enjoyed this article, and please make sure to review the vocabulary and feel free to use them in your day-to-day life. And we'll see you in the next article. Bye.
Humiliated.
Humiliated.
Devastating.
Devastating.
Benign.
Benign.
Forthcoming.
Forthcoming.
Confrontational.
Confrontational.